Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. It is September 6th. I think that's correct. It's a Friday, and it is going to be a glorious weekend. The NFL is back, but first we have to introduce with me the original Fab One, Jimmy King.
What's going on, B? How you doing this lovely Friday?
How was that, Jimmy? Was that
It was
good?
great. It was great. It sounds
Uh,
awesome. I think, like I said, I know Mason um, is one of the most renowned PAs in the NBA out of Detroit, and I think you're making a run for making a run
okay.
for his money.
So I'm on the board. All right, I got it, Jimmy. Well, Jimmy, it is great. As I said, the NFL starts this weekend. Jimmy, yesterday was week 2 of Connor Chapman Middle School football. We are 2-0 with a big 38 to something win yesterday. So we're doing very well. We're running, we're throwing, we're scoring touchdowns. We're having a lot of fun so far. A lot of bells are ringing in the background and fans cheering. So we're off to a good start. And
Y'all look very good. The
yeah,
video
and
that you sent me, Connor, looks great. His drop steps, planting his foot, release is he's accurate. The ball sails, it doesn't wobble. He has a nice spin. He looks good, and he
here's
got wheels.
yes, he's taken a few 40 yards, for touchdowns as well as throwing the ball. But here's what I admire the most, Jimmy, for a kid that's 13 years old, is he stands in there like Peyton Manning, doesn't flinch with guys just flying at him from all over, and is able to, like, it just all moves real slow. He's calm and he's able to see things. And I'll tell you what, I would be pooping my pants on the field. And I don't mean if I were 13. I mean, if I were standing out there today as a 45-year-old man, I would be pooping my pants with the size of some of these kids coming in at me.
Yeah,
My reaction time is way too slow to handle that. I would be sacked every time.
well, it's a testament to Connor. He looks good out there. He looks poised. I love his approach to the game, his mental approach to the game, and that he takes a lot of the errors out through doing his pre-snap kind of assessment. And to be 13 and just in the 8th grade is pretty phenomenal, pretty exceptional that what he's doing.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jimmy. We got a long time before there's scholarships and NIL money, so don't get me too excited. But let's jump into the show. Jimmy, the first game of the NFL season was last night. And, of course, we had the nemesis of the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, going head-to-head against the Baltimore Ravens. And the game ended as, things normally end with the Chiefs. They continue their dominance. They won 27-20 in a very tight game that went down to the last play. We'll talk about that in a minute in the next segment. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes and a 2-touchdown performance by their first-round draft pick, Xavier Woods, rookie out of Texas. They're right back being a dominant team. And the question is this just another? Are we just watching? Is Is this a battle for second place? Are we just watching the Chiefs on their roll to a third straight Super Bowl? What do you think, Jimmy? Is this
Well,
their season to win?
they are the defending Super Bowl champions. Patrick Mahomes didn't mince any words about three-peating and being one of the greatest of all time. So I know their focus is still there, and I know Coach Reed is got his troops ready. He's one of the best in the world in the game as far as drawing up plays. But it's week one. I think that it's still early. Barring injury, though, they definitely have a chance to three-peat, and I think like the Ravens, right? Because people are saying the Ravens are trying to catch them. That's kind of uh, their biggest hurdle that they have to face in order to get to the Super Bowl. And they look great. They look good from the majority of the game. But you got to give these guys some time. You got some first time players with the Ravens, as you do with Kansas City, but they've been there. So it's easier to plug and play. Where the Ravens are still trying to climb that ladder. And what the Chiefs showed, they're not giving it up easily. But there are other teams out there that I think uh, throughout the year can put some pressure on Kansas City.
I think you're right. I think my issue with the Chiefs is, as much as it disgusts me to admit, it certainly feels like we're in for round three of Kansas City. They're going to play regular season. They're going to lose a couple games because they don't really care about it, but when they want to win, they
Yeah,
win. And when
absolutely.
Patrick Mahomes turns it on, you can't stop it. And there's just not a team better than them. Now, does that mean they won't lose games? No, they'll lose games because they'll have down weeks. Does that mean that they won't win the Super Bowl? The chances of them having a down week in the playoffs where they beat themselves is very low. So, I mean, even when Josh Allen plays like Superman and throws 7 touchdowns and, it's 153 quarterback rating, they still lose, right? Because it's just, so I hate to admit it, but yeah, I gotta,
Give
I
it
got
up, B. Give it up.
they are definitely don't look like any different than last year. So you got to say they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. So let's move to the Ravens, which, if you've ever watched me do sports talk, I have a very, very distinct opinion about the Ravens. And that is that they are a great regular season team, and they will pour on points, and they will beat up the little guys, and they will make it to the playoffs, but they do not have a team that can win in the moment. Nate, show that picture. This is how the game ended last night. Uh,
See,
there,
one thing
there you
about this
go.
picture, right?
See this
That's this
picture
is
right
this
here?
is how tight the game is. We
Yeah,
hear this all the time about it's a game of inches, particularly in basketball, but in all sports, it literally comes down to how much space can you make for yourself? How much space can you take away as a defender? And this is perfect right here that literally this is
a
the
toe,
game that
a
his
toe.
the inch or a millimeter of his toe is on the line.
Here's
And
what I would say. It isn't even his toe. You
the
can
cleat,
see in that picture that it's his shoe.
correct.
His, his toe is
Right. Is
inside the
in.
line. That little piece of your shoe that's on the
Right.
edge of your toe,
Hey,
that's
I got a
what's
question
moving.
for you, B. I got a question for you. If the toe, if he curls his toe and it comes down, is it a touchdown? If it and it stays up out of bounds, is it a touchdown?
Yeah, I don't know. That actually looks like the toe doesn't actually touch, that it's kind of
Mhm.
up and out. So clearly they ruled that, an incomplete catch. But great play, right? But here's the thing, Jimmy. Lamar Jackson is 60 and 19 against the rest of the league and 1-5 against Mahomes and something similar against Josh Allen. Okay. So this is his ninth game of 200 yards passing and 100 yards rushing, the most, by the way, in NFL history. But on that final drive, when they needed him, he's running around, and it is amazing. I give him a lot of credit. Like, he is tough to bring down. Like, they got guys just, he's like Connor Chapman. They got guys just throwing guys at him, and he's somehow finding a way out.
He's standing in
And
that pocket. He
yeah,
might turn left, might come
yeah,
back and set his feet, and he's throwing
yeah,
dime.
yeah, he's great. But he did miss. He had 3 chances from the 8-yard line to win that game. And he missed a wide open Zay Flowers by like 7 yards,
We're gonna have
right?
to get Connor to
To
mentor him.
coach to
Yeah, we
coach
gotta
him.
get him to
Yeah,
mentor him, give
yeah.
him, some of that confidence that he has.
So I just here's what I think. The answer is no. I don't think the Ravens can take the next step. I think Lamar Jackson is in a lot of ways Michael Vick. He is a fantastic athlete. Maybe one of the best that's played the game. And because of that, he's very special in what he can do. And he has an arm, just like Michael Vick had. But he doesn't have that full game that a Patrick Mahomes where he just can do anything. He's limited in certain areas. And he one of those things is when it matters, right? Patrick Mahomes would not have missed that pass to Zay Flowers in the back of the end zone. Period. Uh, and that's the difference between going for your third Super Bowl and being the guy who, you know,
He's
is
knocking
the
at the door, and
MVP
you have to continue to
and the one
to get
seed.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Jimmy, and I'm worried about this for my Bills, is that there are teams that are perennial good. They're consistently good. They make the playoffs, but they don't ever take that next step,
Mhm.
right? And I hate to say it. I mean, the Ravens are that team in this generation, and the Bills might be that team in this generation, unfortunately, right? Think of the Colts with Peyton Manning. I mean, they were great for years, and they won one Super Bowl, a decade. They won one Super Bowl.
It's a testament to really how great Patrick Mahomes is.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
it
Agreed.
it 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 it's it because when you got guys like the Michael Jordans of your league, and you got all these other great players, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, Kobe, Patrick Ewing, um, that are limited and being successful because of a particular player in the league, and Patrick is that guy. I mean, clearly, Lamar is 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 struggling with beating the Kansas City. He's not the only quarterback to, but 1-5 is glaring when you're 60 and 19 against
Yeah,
the league,
that's right.
including playoffs.
That's right. That's a big stat. So moving along to the next topic, which is related to the first two, is the referees. Can we see that picture, Nate? Ah, there it is. You like that, Jimmy?
I
That's a
love
special uniform.
it.
That's the
I've
chief
seen refs
ref.
wear uniforms like that before.
Yeah. So do the Chiefs get special treatment from the rest? So before you answer that question, Jimmy, there was many illegal formation penalties. There was that toe thing at the end, which was called a touchdown and then called back, but it didn't look like his shoe actually touched the ground. It was above the ground. So, you know, do you think, Jimmy, that the Chiefs get special treatment from the refs, or it's just kind of how it happens, and people, because they always pull it out, kind of say, well, they got this call and they got that call, and that's why? What's your take on this?
That's a tough question, but I do think sometimes they do get the benefit of the whistle going in their way, their favor. I
So
think
you're saying they do get
I
special.
do think they get like the 50-50 calls usually go in their favor. Like where
Okay.
you could like where you're like, oh, okay, like let's go to the film, or it's a judgment call, or you know, they get the benefit, right, of the doubt. Whereas most teams and most guys usually, well, it seems like they don't. But watching the Kansas City Chiefs over the past couple of years, because I it's interesting you asked that question, because last year I thought that they got the benefit
They do.
from certain calls and non-calls um, by the refs. But I don't think it's something that the refs are conscious of, like literally out there conscious, like, oh, I'm gonna give it to them. I just think that they just there are teams that get those calls. Like when I was playing basketball, you knew certain teams were
No,
going to get calls that you wouldn't get, and that's just the nature of the game. It sucks, and as a player, you hate it, but you have to really figure out how to play around it.
I
But yes,
feel like
the answer
that
is yes.
I feel like that's more accepted in basketball that LeBron's
But
gonna get
why?
5
You know what I
steps.
mean? Like as
Yeah,
a
and
player,
I
you
think
hate
that's
it.
why people
Like
have
like
problems
when
with it.
LeBron
Yeah.
flops and he gets a call, like like what is that? You know what I mean? Like so it's tough. It's tough. I don't like it. I don't like it as a player, definitely. And I don't like it as a fan because it seems like there's favoritism going on, but I understand that it, at times it can be, it's just a judgment call. And
So
it
here's
ends
what
up going their way. So that's the luck part, because there's luck in sports. So I think Kansas City is a little lucky in that aspect that they get the calls.
okay. So here's what I think. Uh Yes, Jimmy. They get special treatment from the league, from the refs. Yes, yes, yes. And as long as Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelsey, they're going to continue to get the treatment because at the end of the day, Vince McMahon had it right. It's a business
That's right.
and they want to make a lot of money. And the
Right.
more interesting that their sport is, and the more games that Patrick Mahomes is playing in, and Taylor Swift is shaking her thing up in the box, pounding beers with Jason Kelsey, you know, that's what they want. And so, yes, 150% do I believe now. I will give them this benefit of the doubt, which is that I don't think there's a piece of paper handed that says you'll make sure the Chiefs get the more
But
calls,
that's what I mean. Exactly.
but I think it's subconscious, and I think it's made very clear how important the Chiefs are to the success of the NFL, which equals the success of their jobs as a referee, which equals the success of everybody. So, yes, I do think on 50-50 calls, they get them. I think when they're playing Buffalo in the playoffs, they get them. When they're playing the Ravens in the playoffs, San Francisco, they get them. They get the calls. You got to beat the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, the crowd, and the refs. You got to
That's
beat
right.
everybody if you want to dethrone the champ, brother.
That's right. That's right. It's just like the Bulls. When the Bulls were going on their run, sometimes you got to beat the Bulls, you got to beat the refs, you got to beat
You got to
this
beat them
the league.
all.
You got to beat the league. And
Got to beat the
that's why
league.
it's tough. And that's why, like, when you going through your rites of passage and you see yourself steadily getting better and improving and reaching that mark, um, when your time comes, you want the same treatment. That's all. Because when it's your time, you want the same treatment. And so to earn it, you got to fight for it, or you got to fight for it to earn
Exactly. So, Jimmy, we're gonna refs get me angry. So,
it. See,
oh,
I've learned over my years of dealing with this to come to my zen, my
Jimmy,
Phil
you're a
Jackson
professional
zen.
athlete. I am a fan. You have learned that you can't control the refs,
No,
and that the way for you to be successful is to work within the confines of that
correct.
situation.
Yes.
I have not learned that, Jimmy. I am a fan. I am screaming at my television set. And by the way, if you think NFL refs are bad, wait till you see middle school football refs. You're gonna love these, Jimmy. You're coming to the game next week, Jimmy. You're
Oh,
gonna
absolutely.
love this.
I'm coming to see Connor Burrows out
They
there.
will accost a receiver. I mean, they will just totally clean them out, and you'll never see a pass interference flag in a million years in a middle school football game. So I have an issue with refs. So we'll move on and we'll talk about college football. Texas
Yes.
A&M. Texas A&M, for some reason, I don't understand this, Jimmy. They've never really been good. They've not won a national championship. I don't think they've been in a playoff. I don't know what the fascination nationally and locally is with Texas A&M. I mean, they did have Johnny Manziel, and maybe that was when they competed. Maybe they did win a national championship with him. I can't remember, but they had Johnny Manziel, which was 2 years, by the way, and then that was it. And they had 2 good years forever. And I don't get this. So everyone's like, "Oh, everyone's so upset Texas A&M won." Well, they lost. They played Notre Dame on Saturday in the first game of the
The first
season,
game
and
of the season.
Notre Dame beat them 23-13. Their quarterback, who they're very high on, Connor Weigman, threw 2 interceptions. There he is. There's Connor. Connor with an E, not Connor with an O. But the strong run game by Notre Dame, strong defense by Notre Dame, that was enough. I don't know why this was such a big shock. Notre Dame went into the game ranked 7th
Right.
against the 20th ranked Texas A&M. 100,000 people showed up to College Station to watch this game, Jimmy. That's a lot of fans.
That's right. That's
And
right.
they were not happy.
I think it was the 4th largest crowd in Texas A&M history, but
Should
107,000. But we roll over and roll out 107,000 in the big house. So
yes,
I mean, I'm
yes.
just saying.
Yeah. That's like Fisher Price, right?
Yeah, that's like a bad day.
Jimmy, should the 12th man be so upset about this?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, yes. You can't look. The number one thing about sports is protecting your house. If you want to be successful and be one of the best, when teams come into your place, they know that they're going to come in there and have to fight, drag, cut, scratch, bite, whatever, spit everything to get out of there with a victory. And so when fans show up, that's their way of participating. That's their way, being rowdy, being loud, and being a part of the game and affecting the game. The 12th man up in Seattle has been an issue for years. I mean, they've set off Richter scales, or at least been able to register on the Richter scale uh, eh, eh, when they get very loud. So it's something to see. And I mentioned Michigan for years. We have 110 plus, and when you're in that environment, it's just something to see. You can't really explain it. Like, you have to physically go there and see what we're talking about, because there is a factor and they do affect games.
Jimmy, the answer is, of course they're going to be upset because they're lunatic fans. And I don't
Right.
mean them individually. I mean
Yeah.
fans collectively as a whole are lunatics for their
The
team.
fanatic.
do you want to have this conversation with me about the Bills? Okay, exactly. All
Oh, I
right.
can't wait. I
So
can't
they're
wait until the
lunatics.
Bills
They're
come
but here's
on,
the thing.
good or bad.
No, here's the thing. No, they shouldn't be upset. Here's why they shouldn't be upset. Okay. So in 1999, Jimmy, I was a probably junior in college, and I was watching a football game, and the Bills lost in the playoffs on the Music City Miracle. That stupid play that should have never counted. That was the last playoff game. I was a junior in college. It wasn't until I was 40 years old that the Bills went back to the playoffs. Now, here's the thing. Yes, I'm a Bills fan and I go to the games and I want my team to win. But I wasn't delusional to the fact that they sucked and they
Well,
were not
it's
good.
called optimism. Whether you suck or not, you still have people that you believe in on your team
And
that
every
can
year,
can push you over the edge to victories.
and
That's what
every year.
that's why they're
Oh,
fanatics. That's what they hope for.
we've
They hope
got,
that they
we've
have a
got,
guy like a unsung hero that will step up in the moment because that's what they come for. They want to be entertained to see these guys perform and who's
Jimmy.
going to do it on the stage.
It's a delusion, Jimmy. I Todd Collins, he's our next Jim Kelly. Oh no, it's Rob Johnson. Oh no, it's Doug Flutie. Oh
Wow.
no, it's EJ Manuel.
Oh my
It's
God.
JP
Oh my God. I
Lostman.
forgot about
It's
EJ
Nate
Manuel.
Peterman. It's everybody. It's all these guys. It's
So,
Craig Knoll.
so
I know Craig Knoll personally,
yeah.
and I met him far after he was with the Bills, and I told him, Craig, when you joined the Bills, I was so excited. I'm like, this is our year. We got Craig Knoll. you know,
But
so
see,
I
that's the
understand.
point. Look, you just proved my point. That every year, regardless of who come in, you're like, okay, like this is the guy. Okay, this is the guy. Okay, this is the guy because you're a fan. You're a Bills Nation fan. So whoever is in that position, you're going to root for, whether they suck or not. Whether they suck
Okay,
or not,
Jimmy.
that's your
So
guy.
Texas
Like
A&M
last
fan,
year with the
I get it.
Pittsburgh Steelers, I rolled with our quarterback all year. Garbage, hot garbage,
Hot,
hot
hottest
garbage.
garbage. All right, Jimmy, enough. You have convinced me in the past 5 minutes that I am wrong. That Texas A&M fan is no different than Brent Chapman Bills fan.
Nice.
And here we are. So now we're going to go on to USC. USC beat LSU, 13 ranked LSU, and this was a great game. The game was tight. LSU had a lead going into the fourth quarter, 17-14, but USC and their quarterback, his name is Miller Moss. Miller Moss had a heck of a game down the led them on a game-winning 75-yard drive, capped by a 13-yard. There's Miller. Miller Moss, Heisman, candidate now because of the game, and USC pulls out the victory. It's their first year in the Big Ten. Jimmy, is USC a contender in the Big Ten with the big victory over LSU?
Absolutely, to go down to the bayou in the
That's
swamp and
right.
get a victory in the first game with all the hype and coming over to represent the Big Ten in your first game is a lot of pressure, and they stood in there and delivered. And yeah, so absolutely, because that shows that they got the fortitude to go into any arena or any road game and get a victory, whether it's in the big house, whether it's at Ohio State, the horseshoe, or wherever. Um, that game shows that they can, go into a hostile environment and come out with a victory.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Big Ten's going to be tough.
It is.
And are they a legit contender? Yes. I like college football now, Jimmy,
Yes.
that you've got all these good teams in one conference. So every week you've got ranked teams playing each other, top teams playing each other. I mean, even if USC isn't ranked or Penn State, one of these teams, they're Big Ten teams.
Right.
They're going to compete. You better show up or you're in
Mm-hmm.
trouble. UCLA. So this is going to be a really great. Big Ten is going to be fun to watch this year. SEC is going to be fun to watch. The big conferences are going to be fun to watch. But yes, I do agree with you. I think this Miller Moss is pretty darn good. And I think that USC is going to compete, but we'll find out if they're built to compete in the Big Ten. It's a little bit different than what the Pac 12 has been.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jimmy, we'll move along to our last topic of the day, which is Florida State. This is sort of a sad topic. Sad being that Florida State should have been in the national championship, Final Four
Playoffs.
last year, and they got robbed because of the media bias for Alabama.
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama, you can win 6 games and still make the playoff, right? No, Florida State got robbed. And then they come back this year, and I mean, we were talking about pooping our pants earlier. This is what they've been crapping the bed. In the first game of the year, they lost to unranked Georgia Tech in week 0, and then followed it up by losing last week to unranked Boston College 28-13. They ran all over the Seminoles defense, 263 rushing yards against Florida State. That's 2 conference losses to 2 unranked opponents to start out the season 0-2. Jimmy, what in the blue blazes happened to Florida State?
Yeah. Just not ready. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, that means that, you got some internal issues. So there's probably going to have to be some changes, particularly on the defense if they're getting ran through with 263 yards. Um, you know, if you have expectations and you're not performing to the level of those expectations, you have to make changes. So I don't know, do they need to look at another quarterback? I don't know. Do they have to uh, switch out or have like a rotating man defense, or guys getting tired? I don't know, but they're going to have to look within themselves and come up with a solution, because if they lose, you know, again, the season's over. I mean, it'll be hard for them. It's they're digging themselves in a hole right now.
Jimmy, isn't it already over? I
Well,
mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they lose another game, their season's over. So they're going to have to make some serious changes. Like, they're going to have to really see what they're there for, and who they are. And it's on the coaches to get those guys to understand that, they're going to have to perform to the level, or get somebody else. Like, they may have to, threaten them, to their scholarship if they, not performing, unfortunately.
I will tell you and everyone listening what happened to Florida State. Jared Verse, first round, pick 19. Keon Coleman, second round, pick 33. Brandon Fisk, second round, pick 39. Renardo Green, second round, pick 62. Trey Benson, round 3, pick 66. It goes on. Jordan Travis, Jets, round 5. It goes on and on. 10 players from that team last year were drafted in the NFL. 10. That's half of the starters. Half, Jimmy. That's why they lost the core of a very, very, very good team. And this is what happens. And probably, like we talked about with the Texas A&M section, Florida State is much like Texas A&M in that you're Florida State, we're going to be a great football team. We're just going to reload the chamber and go again next year. It don't work that way. You can't lose 10 NFL prospects and expect to bounce back and be the best team in the country. This just, you're not Alabama. There's like one Alabama, right? And that
They got to get their NIL up so they could give players to keep in their coffers.
I mean, yeah, as that develops, they'll have that opportunity. So frankly, that's what I think happened to Florida State. They just
Absolutely.
lost too much talent too fast and they couldn't reload. And
So let me ask you this.
yeah,
So the players that they have currently, you don't think that they can win?
no, I mean, look, I don't know that much about Florida State. I don't scout Florida
No,
State.
but what I'm saying is like that was the point I was making, is that you signed on to
Yeah.
be to play at this level,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
So the work that you now see that you need to put in to win, that's the message that the coaches should be selling to these guys once they hit the bus. All week they have to turn and look within themselves and find out who they are, because they have to. Teams like that don't have an identity. You lose 10 guys to the league. Who steps up?
Yeah,
Who's the guy now? Who's the leader? Because you
all the
probably
senior
had
leadership is gone.
multiple leaders in that locker room last year.
Yeah. All the senior leadership is gone at that point. So, Jimmy, that's it for today's show. I'm going to let you have the last word first. What do you got, Jimmy?
Last word is, I'm holding out that John Harbaugh and the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are going to right the ship. They're going to find a way to beat Patrick Mahomes and go to the playoffs this year. That's the hot take.
All right. That's what Jimmy's got. Ravens in the playoffs. All right. Jimmy, so guys, I called Jimmy earlier in the week, and he was really happy that Michigan won their first game. I mean, he was over the moon. They start out the season 1-0, and I had to remind him that it was Fresno State. But my last word is, Jimmy, we have started the national championship repeat with a win. We're 1-0.
That's right, baby.
And
And
this
we're going to be
weekend,
2-0.
the University of Texas is coming to the big house. But we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. So I'm not going to spoil that for you. Until then, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Peace.
Peace.